Hi guys. Today we're going to look at two things. We're going to go over a little bit about the quiz and look at parts of speech, and then we're going to look at modals. So let's go ahead and start looking at quiz feedback. So overall, you all did really well in the quiz. I was very pleased with it. The one thing that I want us to talk about are parts of speech. Now, we haven't done a lot of this in class, and this is something we're going to be practicing throughout the semester. So we'll look at our vocabulary words this week, and we'll also be looking at the vocabulary words in the future in terms of parts of speech. But the first thing I want to talk about with parts of speech is just what they are. So when we think of parts of speech, the three main categories are nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So nouns are anything that is a person, place, or thing. So nouns are the things you think of as the subjects of sentences. He goes to the store. I read the book. They're also the objects of sentences. So he goes to the store is a noun. I am reading a book. Book is a noun. So when we think about our vocabulary words this semester, or this unit, excuse me, we can take a look and see which of those are nouns. So if you have your vocabulary sheet, take a look at it. You'll notice next to each word, there is the part of speech. So let me go ahead and show that to you so that you can be looking at it. Go. So you see here, we start at the top. Health is a noun. So you would talk about my health. Go to the doctor to talk about my health. Exercise can be a noun when you're talking about it as a specific activity. Symptoms, nouns. So anywhere you see this in, these are our nouns. Now I say that because on the quiz, every now and then you would write a different version of the word. So instead of using the noun prescription, you might use the verb prescribe. So recognizing what is a noun, when we use a noun, and being able to put that in the correct place in the sentence is important. So if we look back at our PowerPoint here, our nouns are things like prescription. Let me try to move this so you can see it better. Prescription. What are some other nouns from our vocabulary words? Specialist. Ooh, specialist. There we go. Diet is a noun. Okay. So look over your list, see which words are nouns. The next one is a verb. Verbs are the action words. So things like run, jump, swim, those are all verbs. So if we look at our vocabulary sheet, anywhere you see a V, that is going to be a verb. So we see diagnose is a verb. Exercise is a verb. Refer, verb. Prescribe, verb. So pay attention to which things are verbs because you're going to use them very differently than you would use a noun. So our vocabulary verbs are things like exercise, refer, prescribe. All of those are our verbs this unit. The last section are adjectives. So adjectives are our descriptive words. These are things that you use to describe something. So if we're talking about my cup, We can say it is white, it is hard, it is small. All of these things are adjectives. So, turn the lights back on. So, if we look at our vocabulary sheet, again, we look at our vocabulary, we see ADJ, that stands for adjective. So here, prescription is an adjective. So it can say a prescription medicine. I need to take prescription medicine. Related to health, we have healthy. He is a healthy person. He eats healthy food. And then we also have a few down here with anxious. I feel anxious, or he is anxious. And then stressed and stressed out are also our adjectives. So these are going to go before a noun. Those of you who speak Spanish, you have to keep in mind to flip your nouns and adjectives. Adjectives come before nouns in English. So you're not going to say person healthy, you're going to say healthy person. So when we take a look here, our adjectives are things like healthy, anxious, what's the other one? Stressed or stressed out. All of those are our adjectives this unit. Now, as you're looking at this, you might be thinking, yes, of course, I already know that. But sometimes as you're getting used to words, especially with new words like vocabulary, it's easy to get those forms mixed up. So you might write, the doctor, you should say the doctor referred me to a specialist, but you might say the doctor referral to a specialist, which is the noun version of refer. So what I want you to do for homework, it's just a little bit of review. I just want you to take a look at the vocabulary paper and just make note. What are our verbs? What are our nouns? What are our adjectives? In class on Wednesday, we're going to be looking over those and practicing looking at the different forms, using the different forms so that you can get comfortable with that, and you'll have more options as you're using those words in everyday life. So just take a look at our words. You don't have to write anything. You don't have to do anything extra. I just want you to look over them and see, oh, this one is a noun. This one is a verb. This one is an adjective. And get used to thinking about the part of speech of those words. We don't talk about the part of speech all that often, so I want you to get comfortable with it. So read through your words and see which are nouns, which are verbs, which are adjectives. All right, overall you did really well on the quiz. I will give those back to you in class and we'll talk about them a little bit more, just go over the answers and see if you have any questions. All right, now I want to talk today a little bit about modals. So this is what we're going to be working on in class, and then when we look at the reading, when we do some reading on Wednesday, we'll also be using some modals. Now, you may not have heard the word modal, and that is completely okay. We use modals a lot when we give advice or give instructions. That's when we would use modals. You may not have heard the word modal, but I know that you use modals often. So you might think of it as when a doctor gives advice to a patient. They might say, you need to have surgery, or you should exercise more. Those words like need to, should, could, ought to, have to, all of those are our modals. So let me show you the chart I have for you. Now, I'm going to give you a paper version of this on Wednesday in class, but I want you to take a look at it. These are the simple form of modals. This is what we're going to be using right now. Now, you see that the pattern It goes subject, so I, we, you, he, she, it, they, or any proper nouns. Those are people's names. So Tiranke or Arlene, those would be proper nouns, people's names. And then the modals. So these are some examples of modals. Let's read through them. We have might, may, could, can, should, ought to, must, will, have to, had better, have got to. So all of these are our modals. We're going to look in a minute and see the difference between them as to how strong the advice is. But for now, let's just focus on the words themselves. Then to make them negative, you just add not. So might not, may not, could not. The only exception to that are our words here that have this asterisk here. So if we look down here at the bottom, we see that those asterisks, any of those words, ought to, have to, or have got to, you cannot use them in a negative sentence. So you're not going to say you ought to not, or you have to not, or you have got to not. You're never going to say that. Those you are only going to use in a positive sense. So you would only say, I ought to wear a mask. You would never say, I ought to not wear a mask. It is very uncommon and you should never do that. Then we just have our verb phrase. And take note here, these verbs are not going to change. So the very top of the form says, do not take the S in the third person singular. So that means things like this, she. Now, if we didn't have the modal, we didn't have this modal section, it would say she wears, with an S, she wears a mask. But when we add the modal in there, we would say she should wear a mask. So let's take a look at that. Without the modal, she wears a mask. You have this S here. But with the modal in there, we would say she should wear a mask. So that S does not happen. You're not going to conjugate these verbs at all. She should wear, no S, a mask. Okay? So let's do a little bit of practice here. Let's copy and paste this so we have all of our words. Oh, goodness, so small. All right, let's get the last ones. There we go. All right, let me share this picture with you so you can see it for yourself. All right, if we take a look at our PowerPoint again, here we see, these are the positive forms of those words. So if someone may do something or might do something, that's the positive form. So what would be the negative form? What would be the negative form? So here, the negative form would be might not. Let me make that easier to see. All right, so the negative form, might not. The negative form of may not. Negative form of could not. This is also where you'll see couldn't. He couldn't come. The negative form of can, cannot. And note, cannot is one word. It is not cannot. We put those together and we form the word cannot. It sounds the same though. It sounds like can not. But more common, you're going to see can't. So could not is couldn't. Cannot is can't. Right? So all of these form the same way. You just add not to them, and then if they can be contractions, they are contractions. Again, the only difference are these that have the asterisk. Ought to is never going to be negative. Have to is never going to be made negative. Have got to is never going to be made negative. Okay, so these are all the positive forms, and then to make the negative forms, you're just adding not to the end of all of these that do not have the asterisk. Might not, may not, could not, cannot, or can't, should not, or shouldn't, must not, will not, had better not. It's pretty simple. You just add that not and it makes it the opposite. All right, let's take a look now at how we use these and how strong these words are. So if we look at this, we're looking at 3 different strength levels. And when I say strength level, I don't mean that being low is bad and high is good. This is just how sure you are. How sure you are of this advice, or how important it is. Okay, so how sure you are of it, or how important it is. So if we take a look at all of our words, so I'm going to just copy and paste this over so we can see them all. So we'll just look at the positive forms. Making them negative does not change anything about them. So the strength generally stays the same, whether it's positive or negative. So take a minute on your own. Take a minute on your own and think, which of these is low strength and which of these is high strength? Okay. If you need some more time, just pause this video, take a few minutes, decide which of these modals are low strength, which of these modals are medium strength, and which of these modals are high strength. All right, if you need more time, just pause the video. But let's take a look. Our low modals are going to be things like might, may, and could. Those first 3 are going to be our low level modals. So think about it like you're using the sentence, he blank come to the party. So he might come to the party. I don't know if he's going to be there or not. He may come to the party. I don't know if he will be there. He could come to the party. So we are not sure. We are not sure of what's going to happen. And so we would say they are low strength. Our medium strength are going to be can, should, ought to, and had better. So these 4 are all about the same strength. So he can come to the party. That means he probably will. He is able to. He should come to the party. That means you know what is the right answer. He ought to come to the party. You know that going to the party is the right answer. Or he had better come to the party. That's a little bit stronger, but Again, it just shows you, I know this is the right answer, but I'm not 100% sure. So medium strength is stronger than low strength, but the one above it is our high strength modals. And these are ones like must, will, have to, and have got to. All of these, let me make this darker so you can see it better. All of these are our high strength. So if I say he must come to the party, then there is no other choice. That is what he is doing. It is like saying you must go to work. You do not have another choice. You will go to work. You have to go to work, or you have got to go to work. Those are very strong. You're very sure of what should happen. You're very sure of the right answer. And it can also show how important it is. You must come to class is stronger than you should come to class. It shows how important it is. You must do this. You will go to the party. It's important that you are there. There is no other option. So take a look at those. If you have any questions, please let me know. We're going to be doing some practice with them, and you're going to be doing some practice for homework. So for homework, I want you to take a look at this picture. So what is happening in this picture? Okay, so this woman has been in an accident. Maybe her head hurts. Maybe she is stressed. What I want you to do for homework, I want you to write down some full sentences using modals and say, what advice would you give this person? What advice would you give her? So, some of it might be low-level advice. Some of it might be, she might call her husband. Maybe that is something she could do. Some of it might be medium. She should take medicine. And some of it might be high strength advice. She must call the police. She has to go to the hospital. Whatever you think she needs to do. So for homework, I want you to write at least 5 sentences giving advice to this person using modals. So 5 sentences using modals. So low, medium, and high level modals to give advice to this person. So I'm expecting sentences like she should, ... She ought to, ... She should not. And tell me what she should do, what she should not do. Okay, so you're gonna write 5 sentences telling me what advice you would give this woman. All right. That is all we have for today. So for homework, you are looking over your vocabulary, making note of what the parts of speech are, which words are nouns, which words are verbs, which words are adjectives. And you are writing 5 sentences using modals, giving advice to the woman in the picture. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will be giving you those paper sheets, that modal sheet. I'll give you that in class on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we will also go over the quiz in more detail because you'll be able to look at it. And we'll be doing some reading on Wednesday as well. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you all on Wednesday. All right, bye, guys.